Hi, I'm Ted. Have you ever gone out to a restaurant for a nice steak dinner or ever wanted to, but it's often too expensive to buy a steak dinner and it's not that economical, and you're afraid you couldn't make it at home? Well, today I'm going to show you how easy making a traditional steak dinner really is. There's three components in your typical proper steak dinner. You have your meat, which is typically a steak in your steak dinner. A starch, which is usually some form of potato or rice, and a vegetable, which is usually asparagus, broccoli, or some kind of a medley that's roasted, simmered, or sauteed. And I'm going to get right into it right away because we have a limited amount of time. I'm going to start with a New York strip steak. Now this is a USDA choice cut of beef. There's three different categories: select, choice, and prime. Each one goes further up in the ranks, if you will. The only difference is there's a lot more marbling in the prime beef. However, the prime beef is usually double the price of choice, so this is the most economical, and you'll see this the most. So what we're going to do is season it up pretty liberally with salt and pepper. You don't want a whole lot more than that because you want the steak's natural flavor to come out. You don't want anything really disrupting that. And we're going to use a little bit of olive oil in our cast iron pan. Notice I'm not doing it in the grill. That's for a different dish. I like to do mine in a cast iron pan just because it gives it a nice crust. It's my favorite way of doing it. Throw a little bit of butter in there, a little knob. It's nice and hot. And a way you can test to see if the pan's hot is you put a little bit of water in there. It'll do that. So we're going to go ahead and throw our steak in the pan. Tongs are kind of excessive, but they do the job. There's that. And now you want to make sure your steak is at room temperature also. It makes it cook a lot faster, better, and you get a nice center point in it. Now this is a New York strip, and the reason I chose it is because for two factors. It is one of the most flavorful steaks, and it's pretty tender. The farther away from the head and the hoof, they say, is the most tender, and this fits like the medium category. A lot of people like the filet mignon, which is pretty tender, but it doesn't have a lot of steaky flavor, if you will. Cooking method, I actually prefer charcoal with my steaks, but I don't have a charcoal grill, so I'm going to use a pan, a cast iron pan. Like I said, it gets a lot more brown and a better steak in my opinion. The grill, it just tends to burn and doesn't really develop a lot of the flavors. And I'm going to turn this up a little bit. There we go. Season the other side liberally with salt. I use kosher salt. Has a little bit better flavor to it. Fresh ground pepper, you gotta have that. Makes all the difference in the world. Now I like my steak rare, so I'm going to be doing it rare today. The next thing we got, you always want to have a vegetable. And today we're going to have bacon wrapped asparagus. Now what I did here is you blanch the asparagus. You probably never heard of that. But you steam the asparagus and you want to shock it with cold water. That retains all of the green, vibrant color so it doesn't turn brown, it doesn't char as easy. And then all you do is oil it up a little bit in the bundles, salt and pepper it so it's nice and seasoned. Don't have to use a lot of salt because remember bacon has a lot of a large salt content. And make sure you wrap it tight, and it should be just fine. And you want to hear the sizzle. You always want to hear the sizzle. Otherwise, the bacon won't cook up nice and crispy, and it'll be kind of limp, which you don't want. My burner went out. Whew. Get that cranking again. Might have an extra rare steak today. And the third component, you always have to have starch with your steak dinner. Usually it's some form of potato, whether it's mashed, baked, or even fries. I've seen that a lot. What we're doing today is baby red potatoes. What I did with these is I steamed them for 10 minutes, cut them in half, and they have to be tender. Put them in a pan with a little bit of water, bring up the temp. So they're nice and hot. A few ingredients you want to throw in here. Quite a bit of butter. Don't be afraid with the butter. Salt. Pepper again. Time to flip our asparagus. Oh, that's looking good. That's looking really good. Stir that around a little bit. Now the potatoes, we're going to add a little bit of heavy cream. This gets it nice, creamy, just the way you want it. A little bit of chives for color and an oniony flavor. Asparagus again. The steak's looking like it's about there. Almost ready to flip. So we're going to add a little bit of butter. Going to move some of the asparagus over to the other side so it's not continuing to cook. And that's all set. Don't need this right now. Getting all nice and creamy. It's absorbing all of that buttery flavor, which is what you really want. And to flip the steak, you want that nice caramelization flavor. It steals in all the juices. Get you a nice juicy steak. That is about ready. I'm going to add a little bit more herb flavor. And some roasted garlic that I did beforehand. Got a stray one. Potatoes are all set. And you want to have that nice cream sauce on there. Makes for a good texture. So that's done. I'm going to go with 3 asparagus bundles today because I'm a bacon fan, like many others. And the final thing you want to do is there's a line of fat along the back. You want to get that nice and cooked up so you're not chewing on like a sinewy, tough fat part of the steak. Turn that off because we're all set. And this steak is now a perfect rare, which is how I like mine. And I'm going to finish it with a little bit of compound butter. If you don't know what compound butter is, it's basically a butter that you mix with any flavor of your choosing. In this case, I used rosemary, chives, parsley, thyme, and oregano. And that should be it. And there it is, your perfect steak. So now that you know how to make your steak, you can impress all your friends, have a date night, and now that you're all honorary chefs, you don't have an excuse anymore. Is there any questions on the steak dinner we made tonight?
Who gets to eat it?
Hopefully me.
Okay.
Hopefully me. I'm quite hungry.
You did very good.
Anybody?